Welcome everyone to our next session. I'm so excited to share our speaker with you and her expertise, knowledge in all things tech coaching. Just a note, you'll get the certificate link at the very end of her session. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce Jennifer Hall to you from Georgia. She's going to talk about strengthening school connections. We are so excited to hear from you today, Jen Hall. And so take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tisha. Good to see you. I'm super excited to share a little bit. I've shared my screen, so hopefully your backstage manager can grab that. I shared my, I'll hit it again in case it did not go through. And we'll share this nifty little window right there. And we'll jump in. Make sure here that I can see what I'm seeing. So screen sharing, it's not letting me, there we go. I don't know why it's not letting me share my screen. The magic is, hold on, we'll try again here. I've sent it, there we go. It was the big reveal. That's what it had to be.
Absolutely, the anticipation.
You gotta love live sessions like this. So I'm gonna hop right in here, and what better way to share about Wakelet is by sharing in a Wakelet. So welcome to this session. I love the title, Educators Assemble. I am Jennifer Hall. I'm an educational technology specialist here in Atlanta. And I'm super excited to just share some of the ways that I share Wakelet with the teachers that I support and how they're using it with their students. So in my role, I push into classrooms and provide technology training and support for teachers and push into classes as well to work with students on projects. So during our little bit of time that we have here, our goal is that we're going to gain ideas for using Wakelet to support diverse learners. So where I am, I worked mainly with middle and high school. And so I love to come up with ways to leverage tools that engage those diverse learners. So our topic today is dealing with how you focus using Wakelet in the school and across maybe your district. So in Atlanta Public Schools, we have what are called the APS 5, and the APS 5 is our guiding principles for what we do. So it's tied to data, curriculum, and instruction, whole child and intervention, personalized learning, and signature programming. So those are the 5 focuses that we have in our district. And what's great is Wakelet touches on a lot of that in the sense that you can use it to curate a relevant curriculum, and you can use it for SEL activities and also for personalized learning, which is a big push for us in our district. So I wanted to highlight that's kind of the lens that I have when sharing tools and resources with my teachers. I'm like, okay, so let's make sure that it hits one of those, if not all of those targets for us. So this Wakelet collection that I am sharing here, guess what? I'm going to drop the link in the chat here so you'll have access to it, and it's on my profile if you want to come back and check it out. So the other piece that I use to kind of guide my sharing of tools and resources with teachers is the Iste Standards. And I'm just curious, in the comments, who's going to Iste? Who will I get to see in New Orleans here in like a week? It's kind of crazy. It's coming up. First of all, being an empowered learner is definitely a priority. So we want to make sure we share resources that empower our learners. And Wakelet is great for that because it leverages technology to ensure that they are choosing and achieving their own goals. And also being a knowledge constructor because they can use it for research. And that's definitely one of the lenses that I share why I think this is such a great tool to use with your students. Being a creative communicator, so a lot of students being able to curate collections in a way that they can communicate what they understand. And the other piece that's important that ties to the Iste Standards would be being a global collaborator. And Wakelet allows for collaboration. So you're not just limited to working within your school setting or even across grade levels. You can go across your district, or you can connect with some of the amazing educators from around the globe that are also using Wakelet. So kind of a cool way to touch on that global collaborator. So I'm often asked, like, why Wakelet? What is this tool? I don't understand what it is, and why would I want to use it with my students? And so my quick bullet points of why, when I talk to teachers as to why you would want to use this and add it in your toolbox, would be the flexibility, because it's not set to being a science tool or a math tool or an ELA tool. The fact that it is flexible and I can use it across all grade bands is really important. The other thing that I highlight is the accessibility piece. And if you're new to Wakelet or you're just diving in and you're just exploring, one of the most amazing features is the integration with Immersive Reader, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. I think that the accessibility piece is really important. The fact that it's collaborative, whether you're having your students work on partner activities in the classroom or small group activities, or it allows for asynchronous collaboration because students can work on it asynchronously or across schools and so forth. The other piece that I always share is ease of use. Our kids are really adept at grabbing and trying new tools, and it's drag and drop interface and being able to move things around, and it's just very, very easy to use. So it's the easy entry point for teachers to embrace it as a new tool. The other piece that I think is really important is the differentiation ability. So what brought me, like, I looked at Wakelet many years ago when it first started. I was like, this is pretty cool. And what brought me back to it is I'm a big fan of Hyperdocs and differentiating instruction for students. And I was like, I bet you could take the Hyperdoc concept, which you can do in Google Slides or Google Docs, and you could apply that to a Wakelet. And that's what really brought me back and really got me to love Wakelet. And so for differentiation. And the last piece is that student ownership and having students curate their own portfolio, showing what they've learned or that they want to have in terms of capturing their learning. So those are kind of like the bullet points when I come in and I'm talking to teachers and I'm providing training and I'm like, here's the why, and then let's get into the meat of how you actually can use it. So I mentioned Immersive Reader is a big selling point for me with my teachers, because if you think about using it for your diverse learners, whether it's special education learners or your ELL students, or just it just provides that extra support. I'll be honest, I use Immersive Reader all the time. When I have to read a bunch of journal articles, I love that I can just, grab it and listen to it 2 times fast so I can multitask. And I don't, maybe you all do that as well. So Immersive Reader is a big selling point because another big focus for us in our district is we're focusing on literacy. And so when I can provide a tool that supports literacy, I can get the buy-in from the teachers. So I have 10 ideas that I think are ways you could try. And here's the goal. Pick 1 or 2. You don't have to say, I'm going to try all 10 of these ideas that Jen shares, but we're going to talk about each one. And I've got a template for each one as well, or an example on my Wakelet profile that you can check out. So here we go. So my first idea, like I said, what brought me back to Wakelet, that what made me go, oh, this is a powerful tool, is using it as a Hyperdoc. So if you're not familiar with Hyperdocs, it's the idea that you can package a lesson that goes through, for example, the 5E model, that engage, that explain, that explore, and they're going through that process of a lesson. And being able to do that and package something in a very easy way for students to grasp those concepts and work at their own pace is a great opportunity. So we're working towards personalized learning in our district. This is a great opportunity for me to be able to, as a teacher, I can design my lesson. I can put all the resources I need in there because Wakelet lets you put anything that you can find on the web, you can put it in a Wakelet, and you can even upload resources. So being able to put everything together, and I can share that out with my students so that they can work at their own pace. But the other piece of that is that you can leverage the power of Wakelet, how easy it is to create a collection and then modify it or make copies of it. So my suggestion is that you can grab a Hyperdoc template, and then you can plan it out, because we know that when we differentiate for our students, we plan for that middle. We start here in the middle, and then we differentiate high or low depending on our diverse learners. So Hyperdocs is a great way to leverage and use Wakelet. So I do have a template, and I actually on my profile have a couple of different templates, because you can also do this. This is kind of cool. If you're working with your students and you plan a lesson and you want to differentiate it, but not make it too obvious, because it's easy to remove content and add content to make different levels. I created 4 different ones that the background color is just different. So there's a red, a blue, a green, a yellow, and it's red, blue, yellow, and green. Yeah, those are the 4. I have 4 of them, so that I, as a teacher, would know if I'm sharing those out that my yellow is for my emerging learners and my blue is for my on-level learners. And so you could do that. And for you, you're going to know it. The kids aren't going to really notice. They're going to just think it looks kind of cool. But it's a great way to differentiate undercover and provide that support for students. So that's idea number 1. Idea number 2 is using it for a weekly agenda, because you can easily plug in, play, and put things in order. We are a Google district. We're also a Microsoft district. We're a blended family. And one of the things, like with using Google Classroom, is that you can put a bunch of links under an assignment, but you can't reorder them. And once you post it, like if you try to, it just messes things up. So I like the idea of being able to create like a weekly agenda so you can easily go in and modify it and change out those resources for the week. So it allows teachers to get that flow, and students know they can check that agenda. They go to that one link that's listed in their LMS, whether it's Google Classroom or Microsoft Team or Schoology or Canvas or any other LMS you might be using, but I can go to that Wakelet and I can have it be like, here's week 1, here's everything for week 1, here's week 2. It just makes it really easy to curate and organize that content. So I do have an example one on the profile that you all can check out. You can duplicate. It's got my Genmoji in it. You can feel free to change it, but it's just I created some templates just as some examples that will spark some interest. Another cool way, and this is idea number 3, is using it for a video playlist. So yes, you can create a video playlist on YouTube, and that's great. But the problem is you can't set any context. I can create a playlist on YouTube and it'll play in order, but I can't put any support or extra resources or guidance for students. So what I love about this is that you can put in a YouTube video link, and I can even go in and customize the content that's attached to that video. So basically I can change the title, I can make the video 1, and I can organize the way I want it to go for a lesson. So it's a great place to create that video playlist, but I can add in extra resources. So I could actually have some guiding questions. I could link to a Google Doc or a Google form for assessment, but I'm just able to organize that content in a more visually interesting way. And because there are several ways to use Wakelet, you can go in and change. I like to use a lot of the linear, like step 1, step 2, step 3, but I like that you can use mood board, which allows for choice. And they have a number of different options of ways that you can organize your content. So I actually created a PD series. So it's all of my Google PDs that I've done. I did it in a Wakelet collection, so I can share that out, and I've set the context. So like, kind of start here if that's where if you're diving into those PDs. All right, our next idea here, idea number 4 is research. And this is where I get a lot of buy-in from teachers. I had the opportunity to actually push into some classrooms. I did some PD for teachers, and I was like, we're working on our science projects. This is a great tool for you to have your students organize their research and show their evidence before they actually build out their project. So I had some teachers who were like, okay, that sounds good. And I had one teacher was like, come in my class. I need you to show the kids. Let's jump in and let's get started. So I love when teachers get excited about a new tool and they're like, yeah, let's try it. So I was able to work with a 7th grade class, and we use this to set up their research project. What's great is because it is collaborative, you can actually go in and say, all right, I can put my partners together. And as a teacher, if you're using the built-in feature where you can monitor students' collections, if you set up your classes, she was so excited because she can see who's doing what and not having to wait till the end of the project to see that everybody's done their research. So there is a template on there. You can always modify this. This is a true research paper research project with all of the bibliography, background research that normally you would include in a high school project, but you can modify it to meet your needs. So I did put that in there as a template as well. So that's the next idea. We're keeping moving here. Got a few more ideas here. How about idea number 5 for newsletters? We know we need to communicate, and during the pandemic, that was so important to be able to have up-to-date information. And what's great is you don't have to have an account to check out a Wakelet. You can send out the link and you can update it so you can keep adding to it. So newsletters is a great way. So you could have one a month. You could do a weekly newsletter. You could have an ongoing one. So just add sections to it so you can keep building it out so people can always go back and check out what happened at the beginning of the year. But newsletters is a great way for teachers, and you can even have students involved in this process with them working on their the newsletters collaboratively, providing that ownership to share what's happening. So it could be grade level. It could be a school, the class newsletter. It could be a school newsletter. Or if you're at the district level, you could use it for newsletters as well. So I just think it's great because you can add in stunning images, because you can use, you can pull in unsplash images. And now because of the integration, which I don't know about y'all, I was so excited when I heard about the integration with Canva. So the idea that you can design really stunning things and let it live in your Wakelet collection, I think is really cool. So newsletters is a great one. And so definitely check that one out. I mentioned differentiation, and I just want to touch on that because it's the ability to copy and paste content in there. So I can copy and paste articles and text. So I can use that Immersive Reader. I can add in certain links for certain levels of students. And this is that example of having 4 different ones for your different levels. So maybe you might use different colors, or maybe you'll use just background images. But I love that that just is a great way that I can start with one plan and then differentiate for my learners. And also, if you work with a team, you could plan for one and then share it with your colleagues, and your colleagues would have the ability to modify as needed. All right, idea number 7, digital portfolio. This is a game changer. I don't know about you, but I think it's really important for students to start curating what they think is their good work. So having a digital portfolio that can go with them from elementary, middle to high, that they can keep adding to, is fantastic. So maybe they have a portfolio each year. So basically there's they're in 6th grade, so they're going to build out what were their accomplishments in 6th grade and 7th grade and 8th grade by creating out this digital portfolio. And the fact that you can use emojis for little bullet points, and they can add in links, they can add in GIFs, they can add in anything they've created that might live in their Google Drive or their OneDrive, means that they can pull in those products they've created in other platforms and have it live in their digital portfolio. Maybe they've created a video or an infographic in Adobe Creative Cloud Express, and they want that to be one of their artifacts that lives in their portfolio. But so for us, I said personalized learning is one of those top 5 for us, and we're really pushing to have all of our schools be implementing that. And one of the big pieces of personalized learning is not just working at your own pace and on your own content to meet your needs, but also is about reflection. And that's where I think that this is going to be a wonderful tool for our teachers next year as we move more into personalized learning, that we can have this tool for students to curate what they're doing in their classrooms. So I do have an example portfolio that's linked in this collection, but you all will get that link here shortly. Next up, how about for project curation? If you're using an LMS such as Google Classroom or Teams, it's great that you can go in and click on each link for every kid for a project when they submit it. But that can be really time consuming. And also when it's submitted to you, that doesn't mean that everybody else got to see it. So what would be great is if you have a project showcase where you have everybody drop their links into whatever they're creating. I did this with a high school engineering teacher. During the pandemic, the kids were creating their coding projects, and she's like, I want a way for me to see them and for their colleagues to see them, because if they just post them in Google Classroom, no one's really going to look, but here I can put it in one place. So what we did, because you can set up the permissions, you can create a link that allows everybody to add to it, but not subtract somebody else's work. Because that was her fear, where she's like, well, I would hate if student A uploaded their project and then student B came in and was like, boop, delete, and it goes bye-bye. So the fact that we were able to, only I can add and subtract what I add to the collection, is a great security measure for using this for project curation for students. So everybody dumped in their projects, and then they were able to, because you can add in text and comments, were able to add comments after they viewed each of these coding projects. So I think project curation is a definite cool way to involve your students in curating things and showcasing their work. So that's idea number 8. All right, so I do have a template for that. So again, what's great is I can put links in there too. Maybe I created a PowerPoint, maybe I created an Adobe Spark or Adobe Creative Cloud Express. I don't know about y'all, I'm still getting used to the rebranding, the new name. So an Adobe thing or a Canva thing, anything that has a link can be put into a collection, or if it's something that was downloaded, that can be uploaded maybe as a PDF, or you can link it from your drive, which is great. So that coding project was a success in being able to add the links to that coding project. All right. Idea number 9. I think this is kind of a creative one. I thought about this when I was thinking about what are tools that I use in my role as an ed tech specialist, where I'm trying to support my PDs and capture what's going on in my sessions. So there are a number of different tools that used to be out there where you could use it as a back channel. And if you're not familiar with what a back channel is, it's just to basically think of the parking lot of posing questions and adding comments to the discussion that you don't want it to necessarily interrupt the lesson, but you want it to be captured. So for those that might remember old school parking lot where you go over and put a sticky note on a board in the classroom, this is a digital way to do this. And what's great about using a Wakelet is you can set the permissions, who can add to it, and it can live in your LMS, and students can go back to it and go, this is where we're putting all of our questions, our comments, our anything that we think would add to the conversation. So if it's a research project, you're working on a unit, you can actually add to that. Because you can thumb up and like things, it's a good opportunity now. When they added that functionality to Wakelet a while ago, it allows for students to read through and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna thumb up that comment. That was great, that was a good, or that was a good question. And you as an educator can go, okay, this got a lot of traction. Someone commented on this one a lot, or I got a lot of love. I might need to address that question or follow up with the student on something. So I think a back channel is another creative way for you to use Wakelet. And because you can add in images and all sorts of links, you're not limited. So students can be really creative with using this for collaboration. And it can be an ongoing conversation, or so you've captured this during your school year. All right. So I do have an example of one of those as well that you can check out. And again, any of these templates, which you will definitely be able to grab. I'm going to do this and throw this in here because I'm seeing lots of commentary coming in there, but I'm going to drop that link in there so that my friend Tisha can drop that out there for you all, so you can make sure to explore those. So the last idea of the 10, and again, these are only 10 because I'm going to ask you all what ideas you have so far, or what ideas you thought were really cool. But how about a virtual word wall? I'm a former ELA teacher, so I think this is a great opportunity to create a vocabulary, basically a playlist. Think of it like flashcards, but different, because you can add in images and GIFs and set context, and you can use it with Immersive Reader. I've now got this opportunity to support my students' language learning. So I just think that was kind of a creative idea to be able to say, hey, sometimes we need the vocabulary, we need the words, we need the definitions, we need the images. And because you can use animated GIFs, oftentimes you can find animated GIFs that are school appropriate, that are relevant to maybe teaching a science concept or math in the real world, or if we're talking about character development in ELA, you could use that with the vocabulary. So for me as a learner, I'm going, okay, I got a picture that's showing me what this means. I can kind of maybe make that a connection to the vocabulary word with that image. So what do we think? A virtual word wall. I think that's kind of a cool idea. All right. So I did put a template in there as well. So another cool thing that might be underutilized, let me know if you all are using Spaces, because Spaces is a way for you to leverage planning if you have multiple classes or work with multiple grade levels, or in my case, I work with multiple schools, that you can actually create spaces and choose who's in those spaces and what resources are there. So for me, I'm curating resources for me at my schools. I'm curating resources that I can share when I'm presenting at conferences. I can curate resources that I'm sharing with my personal or professional learning network, whichever you prefer for PLN. So I can use Spaces and leverage that as a way to organize your content in Wakelet. So I love that they added Spaces, and I don't know if it is utilized as much as it should be, but I think it's something that you should definitely consider in terms of organizing your Wakelet life. Because I was a little unruly and just started creating all these collections, and I was like, wait, I want this to go here and go here, and you can definitely get a little organized. And I'm going to show you another trick too here in a second when we hop over to my profile about how I've actually organized sections on my Wakelet collections that kind of makes it easy to find resources. So real quick, I wanted to throw out a couple level up tips here. So the goals for our time here, and I'm going to show you a couple other things, were to gain ideas for using Wakelet to support diverse learners. I'm curious. Thumbs up in the comments if you got at least one idea, because that was the goal. But I want to give you some bonus tips that I think make it kind of interesting here. If you'll notice, I used cool text. So I love that they added the functionality. You can bold, italicize, underline things, but sometimes you want it to stand out a little bit more. So I love to use emojis, but also you can use a website called Cool Text and actually copy and paste that text in there to kind of make your headlines a little more visually interesting as you're going through. So like I did it here with the goals. I did it here with the useful level up tips. And then also you can do fun things like add in animated GIFs. So I'm just curious. This is one I created, and of course it had to be Wakelet or Wave themed here. Rate your excitement. How are you feeling? Are you feeling like, okay, this was a lot, Jen. You hurt my head. You shared too many cool things, and I gotta regroup. Are you ready to, like, make it through the shallow end? Are you ready to do some tricks? Are you ready to do some serious tricks out in the deep water in the ocean? I'm just curious. So as you all are adding those comments in there, and I'm going to be checking the comments here in a second, I'm going to head back over here to the profile and show you kind of like what I was talking about, being able to organize here. So if I go to my profile, I was able to organize, and you'll see that I've got ones for professional development, and I've got ones for lesson templates, and conferences, so I can track my stuff. And there's that video playlist. All of that is available right there. Okay, so notice you can organize your sections, which makes it a little bit easier for you to find things a little bit easier. So if you were one of those, you're like, okay, Jen, those lesson templates were fantastic. You want to grab any of those? Guess what? You can. They're all right here. So help yourself. You're able to copy any of those that you want, and do what you will with them, and improve them, and make them better. And if you have any suggestions, I'd also love for you. You can tag me on Twitter at APSIT Jen and be like, this was a cool idea, Jen. And this is what I did. I took your idea and then you like 10 times it and made it 10 times better. I'd love for you to share those out. So that's a little bit about the way I share Wakelet with my teachers and why I share it. So that was 10 ideas. So if you only take away one, or two or three, I'd love to know. I'm going to check out the comments here in a minute and see if you've got an idea or two of ways that you want to use Wakelet. And then I'm going to, answer any questions that might have popped up that Tisha caught for me as I was sharing. But first of all, thank you, Wakelet, for this opportunity to share with champion educators, because I always I get excited. I know I talk fast, so I get super excited and like, yay, good stuff. But thank you so much for the opportunity for sharing there, my friend.
Jen, you know what I love? It's like the Jen Hall Wakelet like buffet that you just gave all of the viewers with all of those incredible ideas. I didn't see too many questions in the chat, but everybody was so excited, and you always really just bring down the house every time you present your ideas. I loved what you said about blended families. I've never heard that with the Google ecosystem and the Microsoft ecosystem. Of course, all of your templates were incredible. So do make sure that you go over to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, share your favorite idea from Jen's session. Make sure you hashtag all of those. Hashtag Wakelet Community Week, Wakelet Wave, and Wakelet. And also make sure you claim your certificate for this session. The link is in the chat. Fill out that form. I just am so mind blown, honestly. So before we go, Jen, because you and I, we are tech coach friends together, and I just am so curious to know the answer to this question. What is your favorite new feature or integration from yesterday's Wakelet Live?
Oh, that's got to be Canva, because that's like two of my favorite friends deciding we can be a family now. So I use Canva on a daily basis for design, and the fact that we'll be able to integrate that is going to be great. That's going to be another selling point for me and my teachers, because we are rolling out Canva at the district level for all of our students and teachers to have access next year. So I'll be able to be like, no, your tools can talk to each other. So it's not like learning two separate things and having, so I think that that's fantastic. So I love the idea, because they can create in Canva. We could start curating their designs in a Wakelet collection. And now we've got this portfolio that we can easily share out there. Yeah, no, so I was super excited about that. I mean, lots of cool stuff. I also was excited.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, excited.
Sorry.
I defer to you, expert. Go for it.
No, I was laughing because everybody knew what your answer would be when I asked it in the chat. They all said you would say Canva, and I thought that as well. But on that note, you said something about students collaborating on newsletters with educators. And I love that point because I don't think anybody has brought that up to where, you know, I always talk about student empowerment and where students can lead. I think that is a great idea. Let your students help you collaborate and create using Canva and sending these newsletters out. But I really, really just love that idea. And everybody is equally as excited about Canva. You already were using Canva, but you're absolutely right. It just makes it so easy now when you're working with teachers to kind of app smash that without having to go anywhere else. Any other things you'd like to share?
Well, I also was excited. I have to play around with it. I don't use the mobile app as much as I should. As much as you would think I'm on my phone, I should use it. The drawing capability, because you're using a touch device. So then my question would be, since I have you to myself here, Tisha, will that drawing capability come to the web app because we have touch Chromebooks? I'm just curious.
You know what? They're all listening right now. So I guarantee you, whatever you ask for, we will be having discussions about, because I've thought the exact same thing. That draw capability is so simple, yet so powerful. And I really think it's going to be a game changer for all of those students and learners. So all of you that are going to the networking session, do the same thing. Share your favorite update from yesterday's Wakelet Live. They have popped the link for the backstage breakout networking session. And also when you're networking with everyone, make sure that you're sharing what your favorite Gen Hall implementation idea was. Keep the conversation going. Thank you, Gen Hall. It is always a pleasure to hang out with you. I hope to see you at Iste. Will I see you at Iste?
Oh, I will. You will see me at Iste. I got 5 sessions, and one of them I'll be sharing some Wakelet stuff too. So come see me, friends. If you're going to be at Iste, we'll catch up. But thank you so much, Wakelet team. Y'all rock. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm gonna hop over here in the breakout. Yeah, this will be awesome. Take care, everyone.
Okay, thanks, everyone. Bye.
All right.